Hi, everybody. Welcome to our weekly ritual in We Are One Love. Love, spreading positive thought, spreading the joy of being a family, a blended family of humankind. I'm a day late, but that's because I got my COVID vaccination. And even though a lot of people have not had it, there are already tens of thousands of people who have had it. And my way of looking at life through the lens of love rather than fear is to always focus on the positive. So yes, of course, there are people who are complaining that they can't get and there's not enough and all this, but yet there are already so many thousands of us who have been vaccinated. And before we begin our ritual, I'm just going to tell you how moving it was for my husband Carter and I to drive an hour away to a bigger city than our little town of St. Augustine, Florida, and to participate in this massive, huge organization that has happened really quickly. And that's something to be not just grateful for, but to commend others for. All the research and all the organization and the bureaucracy and the going through and getting it approved and this and that and that and this, it was done and it is available. So for any of you who are waiting for your vaccination, I just really want to tell you to be patient. I read a story this morning where a woman who lives in New York, who also has a residency in Colorado, she's like 75, and she was unable to get a vaccination in New York, so she hopped in her car with her younger son and drove halfway. Then the other daughter came and drove her to Colorado, and now supposedly, I think, she's received her vaccination. So some of us might have to go away from our home. And if you're an invalid, just stay home. Wait and be patient and focus on the gratitude of so quickly we're finding a solution to this worldwide, never before seen except for 100 years ago, pandemic. And my grandfather lived through the pandemic. I heard stories about it when I was a kid, and I thought, oh, that's like a fairy tale. But we are living through this fairy tale, and to some it's a nightmare. Yes, it is a nightmare for some, but yet everything happens for a purpose. So doing ritual helps us to understand that. So we're going to focus on understanding why we have adversity in life. I'm going to ring the gong. Three times. Feel your breath. Give yourself permission to slow down. Invite your higher self to replace your worried, anxiety-filled self and be in this moment with me as we go deep into our inner self, that consciousness that we all have called love. Some people call it the divine or the sacred, but we all have access to that consciousness within us. All we have to do is choose to enter that realm of our understanding that we are all one, that we are all connected through the divine consciousness of love. And let go, even if it's just for this short time, of the other type of consciousness, which is based on having to know answers, seeing everything logically, worrying about the future, concerned about the past, and et cetera, et cetera. It's fear-based stuff. Just let it go for this time that we're together. And always we begin with concentrating with our mental capacity, our consciousness, on the breath. It's that simple. If you have a thought that's really bothering you, if you can focus on a pleasant thought, the unpleasant thought dissolves. That's just the way consciousness is. So let's breathe together. And if you use a mantra, I invite you to use your sacred mantra. And if you prefer to listen to a beautiful piece of music, you can hear the strains of beautiful music, or focus on the flame of a candle, knowing that one flame represents the union of all our consciousness. Everything that's in existence is in union, right here, right now. Just like this lotus from a piece of one of my art screens, the lotus is a beautiful flower that opens up to the sunshine, but yet its roots are anchored deep, deep in the mud of life. So we can choose to focus on the beautiful blossoming that happens at the higher points of the lotus, which represents our consciousness, instead of concentrating on the muck and the confusion of where we all are rooted on this earthly plane in this material world. So feeling the breath come in always through the nose, and feeling the breath leave our lungs. Breathing in long and deep, and breathing out long, and breathing in as long as you can, but make it a regular pace, breathing in and breathing out, and release. Even those few breaths completely change a confused and anxious state into one of deep inner calm. You can do this any time of the day or night. If you find yourself in a panic or angry or sad, focus on your breath. Let's do 3 more in silence. And feel the calm presence of something very sacred and very joyous and blissful and meaningful and real. This is your true self. Your true self is not worried. Your true self is not angry. Your true self understands innately, because it's a gift that all humans have, of consciousness, that when we eliminate the raka-raka-roo, which I call it, and concentrate on the breath, which is the bridge that we can either say, yes, I'm going to take that bridge, because we can focus on our breath, consciously make that decision, or we just don't pay attention to it because breathing still goes on, whether we're conscious of it or not. Breathing is the bridge from the lower realms of fear-based frightfulness to the higher realms of accepting that the mystery, the divine mystery, is in charge of this life that we have. And we are all one big family, our humanity. And our family extends to the animals and the creatures that are alive. Even the coronavirus, it's an alive organism. It's part of the family, quote unquote, of existence. So therefore, it has to run its course. We have to accept that it's happening. Even though people are dying, we do have means to cope and to not panic, and to realize that the pandemic has been brought to us for reasons that maybe it will take us many years or even decades to figure out. So as you continue breathing, I want to share with you about my friend, my Native American dear friend, Bernadine, who called me this week from the Acoma Pueblo Reservation in New Mexico. And she was very upset because COVID has hit the Native Americans very, very fiercely, and they are suffering. And she had to reach out to me because I'm her spirit sister. And once again, she lost another family member to COVID, a very, very close cousin. And together, we did what we humans do. We grieved, and we cried, and we wondered, what's going on? And then we started talking about how we don't know what's going on. And there are many positive things that are happening as a result of the pandemic. Unfortunately, the second death in her family of a close cousin since the pandemic began, makes it so that people who have lost loved ones or focus too much on the death factor of the pandemic, it makes it more challenging for them to understand that in all aspects of life, the mystery, the divine, is in charge. There are no answers for certain things. We can only cling to the feeling of being in the divine presence of consciousness, which is why we are a group called We Are One Love. That's why you and I have met each other and do this work and spread the joy of love, even amidst the confusion and rancor and divisiveness that still grips our nation of America. But those of us who are light workers, and by that I mean we work with love, we believe in love, we are love, we focus on the possibilities and the nowness of this love energy. It is here. It's not waiting for us tomorrow. It's not gone because of a horrendous event that happened last week in Washington, D.C., the Capitol storming, I mean. There's positive motion forward. The election and the inauguration of a new president who brings words of calm and peace and compassionate love. How soothing, how miraculous, and what a gift. There is so much to be appreciative of. In my own personal life, I have to focus on the positives because I have several, not any deaths, but several negatives that are challenging. And if I was a different sort of person, I might be depressed, but I see that life has a balance. There's the dark and the light, the so-called good and the bad. Even in this crazy political scheme, there's the two opposite ends of the pole. That's called duality. And the way I approach life is oneness in the middle. The Buddhists call it the middle path, the middle way. Some people use other words. They call it non-duality, or they call it God consciousness. But I prefer to just call it love. I always believe in love. Breathing love in, releasing love out into the world. Breathing love even deeper within my being. And sharing love with whomever, however, wherever I can. Breathing love in, clinging to the fact that love is who I am, and releasing love to the world as my gift, no strings attached. Breathing love in, feeling love comfort the pain of those who suffer. Breathing love in and knowing that we are in a huge sea change. Great things are happening this moment, not in the future, this moment. And releasing our joy to be alive at this particular moment in history. Breathing love in, focusing on gratitude. To be here, to be alive, to enjoy this. Releasing love into the world and neutralizing others' fears and others' rancor and confusion and whining. They're just so innocent. One day they'll get it. Breathing love in, being a warrior in the army of love, and breathing out into the world the weapon of mass illumination, love. Love changes everything. Breathing in love, healing all the hurts, and breathing love out. I hope you will continue to remember this throughout your day and to be joyous for the moment that we are all one big blended family of love. Om Namah Shivaya.